Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Friday. I'm going to keep it a little casual today, a little loose. Not as serious as past webinars. I don't have a ton planned for the live walkthrough. I'm just kind of play it by ear, see what questions people have, and just show you the platform. Before that, we got a few slides to get through. I want to introduce a bit about Browse AI and a bit also about some terminology, so we're all on the same page with the words I'm going to be using. This is Browse AI 101, understanding the basics, not digging into too much of the nitty gritty. This is for folks who are just getting started, maybe haven't yet gotten started, and are maybe confused about what exactly they're doing. So while we wait for some people to trickle in here, where's everybody tuning in from? I'm always curious to see where everybody is. I'm in Langley, British Columbia, west coast of Canada. Where's everybody else? We have Mel on the call also, by the way. Mel works with me, head of marketing here at Browse AI, and we'll be answering some questions in the chat and also popping on at the end with some slides. Austin, Texas, Providence, Rhode Island, Milwaukee. I'm going to mispronounce Derbyshire, probably. I want to say Derbyshire, but I know that's wrong. Derbyshire, North Adams, and there's Mel in Ottawa, Portland, Oregon. Cool. Miami, Florida. P-Town, I see you. Nice. Cool. I will jump into some slides here and let's get started. So first, who am I? My name is Nick Simard. I'm a product marketer here at Browse AI. I've been at the company since August of 2023. And before that, I worked at Zapier for 7 years as a customer champion, customer success, community manager. So I touched a lot of apps, which got me into the no-code space, automation, AI. And fun fact, I actually bought the original Browse AI lifetime deal years ago before I worked here. It was on my radar. And so I thought it was a good product. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to work at the company. And here I am, talking to all you fine folks. So what is Browse AI? Some of you may be more familiar than others. In a nutshell, Browse AI lets you extract data from any website without needing to know how to use code at all. You can monitor those websites for changes automatically. So you set up a schedule, decide when you want to check, and we go scrape the data. You can integrate your data into your existing tools, either via our native integrations or via platforms like Zapier, Make, or Pabbly, with which we do integrate. And those are some of the reasons we're trusted by over 500,000 users worldwide. And we're a flexible solution from startup to enterprise. So from entrepreneur, solopreneur, freelancer, to small, medium business, to big business. We serve all of those. Before I jump in, I want to just kind of clarify web crawling versus web scraping is often confused. So web crawling systematically explores and indexes the web. It's more for search engines and web archives. So it navigates through websites and follows the links to discover and index all those new pages. Web scraping is a bit different. It focuses on targeted data extraction from specific web pages. So scraping will identify and collect particular information, such as product details or pricing information, market research data, things like that you specify. I want this data from this page. So it's more targeted and not as broad. You say, I want you to crawl this whole page and get all the links and go into each of the pages. You could potentially accomplish it, but you'd have to specify that. And Browse AI is a platform with a feature where you can scrape data from web pages. So just to clarify, crawling versus scraping, a little bit different. And terminology. So let's just jump into some words. I promise I won't try not to bore you. I'm not going to belabor the points, but I do want to be clear on what everything is. So robots are the automated assistants that extract and monitor the web data. So you train the robot on what you want to extract from the website you're interested in getting data from. The origin URL, that's the starting web address where your robot will begin extracting data. It could be the final address. You might just say, I want this website, and then go. Or you could start there, click on some things, maybe some filters, do a search. That's why I say the starting web address. But that's the first thing you put in. What website are you trying to scrape? Input parameters are things like search terms. You could go to the website and put in some search terms. Also, the limit of list items that you want is a input parameter that you specify either when you're running a task, as in this screenshot, just running it, one task at a time, or if you want to do it in bulk, you can specify that. So sometimes you might want 10, sometimes you want 20 or 100 or 250 or whatever. So those are input parameters, things that will change maybe what you're scraping or searching for and how many items you want. A task is the individual data extraction job that the robot will complete. So every time the robot runs, that is one task. So each of these items in the screenshot is from history. Each one is a task. The robot has run that specific task. Credits are how you pay for tasks. To super simplify it, it determines your usage limits on Browse AI. We can jump into maybe how credits work in a bit, but just know that tasks are what the robot does and credits are what count towards paying for those tasks. Bulk run is when you run multiple data extraction tasks by processing a list of URLs. So rather than doing it one at a time, you can upload it to tables, for example, import a CSV and do a lot of URLs. And we'll get into how that works and why and when you might want to do that. But just be aware that bulk run means doing a lot of URLs at once you've trained a robot. And tables, as I mentioned, is the product inside of Browse AI within which you can view the data you've extracted. So you don't necessarily have to send it anywhere else or export it or integrate. You can view it in the table right within your account. And monitors are where you set up a schedule to go and extract that data. So it could be every day, every week, every hour, and you can choose which days of the week. And we'll get into all those details, but it's the automated system that watches for changes on the websites that you're scraping. Deep scrape is something, it confuses a lot of people. And I understand why it does, because you don't know how Browse AI does it. You just know that you want to go to a page and then follow the links and get details from those websites. So that's what we call deep scraping. We do it in two parts, two robots. One extracts a list of items, and the next one extracts info from that item's detail page. And we'll jump into an example in a bit here. Robot Studio, if you have not tried it yet, that is the interface that you train robots in. We started with the Chrome extension. You still can use it, but everything moving forward is happening in Robot Studio. It's where all the latest development is, and it's what we recommend for most cases. So Robot Studio is where you are training the robots to extract the data you want. And within Robot Studio, you'll see two options. Capture list, which these should be self-explanatory, but I want to make sure we're clear. Capture list is when you've got a repeating pattern of items. It could be in a list going this way. It could be cards, like on a real estate website. You've got repeating items that all contain something similar to each other. It could be people, properties, products, anything like that. Capture text. Oh, I should go back. There's an asterisk because it's not necessarily only on a list page that you would capture a list. And I'll show you an example in a little bit here. Capture text is typically from a detailed page that you want to capture individual pieces of text. So the product name, the product price, things that aren't necessarily always on the list page. And there's an asterisk here as well, is you can capture text on a list page and capture lists on a detailed page. But broadly speaking, in the terms of deep scraping, you get a list of items, you click into each of those pages, and you get details from that page. So list captures the list, texts for detailed or single pages. Pre-built robots are starting points. We have built and refined some robots for common websites and use cases, and you can start with those. If you go to browse.ai and then search pre-built robots at the top there, you can see if there's a pre-built robot for your use case. And all you have to do is put in a couple of pieces of information, and it goes off to the races. You don't have to train anything. Workflows enable you to connect two robots to work together. So the deep scraping that I mentioned earlier, where you get a list of items and then each of those items details, you can build a workflow to do that. And I'll show you how that works. You can see in the screenshot a little bit here, but we'll jump into that during the walkthrough. Integrations, just be aware that we have them. There's native integrations with Google Sheets and Airtable. And if you want to go elsewhere, there's Zapier, Pabbly, Make, Integrately. We have REST API, we have webhooks. So there's a lot of ways, AWS as well, a lot of ways to get your data elsewhere if you want to not have it just inside Browse AI. Before I jump into use cases, quick sip. Okay, so these are just some of the use cases, some of the reasons that someone might want to use a tool like Browse AI to extract data. So competitive intelligence is a big one. Lead generation, getting contacts from directories. The information's out there, but it's not always easy to put it in a form that is useful to you, a format that's useful to you. market research, content aggregation, supply chains. LLMs is becoming a bigger and bigger one where you might not even need it to be super organized. You just kind of want to get everything on the page and then put it into an LLM like OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, any of those, and then let it determine what you're looking for. You give it a prompt. So before I jump into the demo, anybody want to share what their use case is, what they're trying to do with Browse AI, if you've determined that already? I'm always curious to hear what people are doing because I sometimes can't even conceive of what a person might be trying to do. Track pricing during release weekend for collectible cards. There you go. I wouldn't have thought of that one. Anybody else? Scraping event calendar for newsletter. Okay, yep. I mean, the data is out there. It is out there. And if the database doesn't exist, we encourage you to make it. Go to the place you want the data from and make your own database. Using it for a SaaS, for kitchen and bathroom products, social media, automated and vape integration, HVAC, SaaS real estate. Nice. Okay, so let's jump into a bit of a demo here. Let me move this stuff over to my second screen and I'll focus over here. So I won't be reading questions so much, but Mel is in the questions now. So I don't have anything super rigid planned here. I'm just going to kind of walk through. This is a pretty empty account. There's not a lot in this one. And let's, I guess, first start with the robots screen here. So you build a new robot from this screen. There's two options: extract structured data, monitor site changes. They both essentially will do the same thing. They'll bring you into Robot Studio. Monitor site changes will just then prompt you to create a monitor. So it's more that if you know you want to monitor, then you click that one, and then we immediately prompt you to create a monitor. They'll both bring you into Robot Studio, though. So I'm just going to do extract structured data, and I'm going to go to a website that I like to use, for example, because it's clean, it works well. It's Y Combinator, and it's the company's page. So Y Combinator helps to fund startups. And so there's a company's directory here. Fill in the blank with whatever you're looking to scrape. It could be products, could be people, places. This happens to be companies. And you'll see here on the left, there are some filters I can click. And luckily on this site, when you click them, the URL changes. So that's kind of nice. I can either click them here, get the exact URL I want, and then go scrape. Or I'll show you that you can also, in the robot, train it to do these things. So let's first, let's just do this. So this will bring you to this particular view here, Red Barn Robotics. If I didn't have this, it would just be the default view, and this is what we'd see: Airbnb, Amplitude. So they're in alphabetical order. So I'm going to click on this one here, Winter 25. I'm going to copy this URL, and you'll see here showing 40 of 165 companies. I like to have an idea of how many things there will be that I'm about to scrape, just so I'm clear on what to expect. So extract structured data. I'm going to paste the URL here. This website does not need logging in. Sometimes it may. You can log into a website using, click on the box here. So session cookies or with password. So if it is a site that requires login, you can do that here. It does require the Chrome extension to accomplish this part. So if you're not allowed to have extensions for company policies or something like that, you won't be able to use this option because it does require the Chrome extension. Otherwise, you don't need the Chrome extension. We are using Robot Studio. Down here, you'll notice we've got pre-built robots for this website. If they work for you, great. Just jump in and use those. They're not always going to be 100% what you want. And for this demo, I'm going to show you how to build one. Just be aware that anytime you paste a website for which we have a pre-built robot, we will show it down here. So let's start training the robots. And I'm going to use Robot Studio. You can see you can also use a Chrome extension. I would try Robot Studio first. There's almost no cases where a Chrome extension will be preferable. But if Robot Studio is giving you some problems, you can try Chrome extension to see if that might alleviate your struggles. Okay, so this is Robot Studio. You'll see on the right here, you've got this little robot assistant that kind of holds your hand and guides you along the way. So once this page loads, it should look exactly like what we just saw. So there you go. So the box is checked already, Red Barn Robotics. Everything looks exactly like it would if I just was on the website. So you literally are looking at the website, and then you tell the robot what you want to extract. And again, the instructions are right here. So if you didn't have any idea what you're doing, just listen to the robot and it will explain. And down here, you'll see recording started. Robot records all the actions you take in order to be trained. So I could, if I wanted to, let's just search within these. What can I search that might give me some results? I guess AI is always pretty popular. So let's do AI. I'll press enter. Okay, so now we're at 148. We didn't lose a lot. Most of these companies are AI companies. Okay, so now I've done that search. The robot has recorded that. So later down the road, I can then use that as an input parameter if I wanted to search for different terms. So now that I've done that search, let's capture text and then from a list. So this is a list of items. It's very obviously a list because each of these is its own separate thing. So I'll click from a list and then I just hover and we detect the list automatically. So if I hover around, you'll see a lot of these things are lists. That is a list. These are lists. These are list items. The obvious one is I want each of these companies. So I'll click here and then just magically robot will scan and get probably the data points you're looking for. If you wanted something different, like if something's missing here, you can select manually instead. So you would essentially not have the robot get the data points. It would get the list and then you select each data point. This is 9 times out of 10 probably going to get you what you want, and it's fast and it's convenient. So you can rename your list here. Let's say I wanted to call it, I guess in this case, let's do winner 25, since I know that that's what's going to be in here. So company name, location, description, batch, industry, company URL. And you'll notice here this shiny little workflow available. This is telling you that you could build a workflow to automatically take this URL right here and then scrape those individual pages. So deep scraping is the process of taking a list of items and then getting data from the individual page. Workflows are how you connect those two things together. So this is a helpful little tip. Oh, hey, you could build a workflow and connect these things. Let's say I don't want the logo. I could click on this and then remove it. I might want to rename this company URL. Let's call it company page link. Just make it like super obvious. It's the company pages link. And then I'll press enter. So if everything else looks good to go, I'll say, let's do maximum of custom. How about, well, it shows 40 items on a page. So let's do 50. Then it will require pagination. So when you see over here, number 2, how can we find the next item? So it has determined automatically, scroll down to load more items. This is most times going to be accurate, but you want to review it just to make sure. And in this case, you can see when I scroll down, loading more. So it is scroll down. Otherwise, you can reselect, and these are all the options. Click on next. So very often you'll see something like this where there's like a next button. That could be one pagination option. Click on load more. That's another very common one. Load more items, and then the rest of them will load. Scroll down to load more is what is on this website. Scroll up to load more, less common, but you might see it. And sometimes there are no more items to load. There may be no pagination, or you may not want to use pagination. So that could be an option that you would use. But in this case, I will keep it as it was. Scroll down to load more items. And let's save this captured list. So now on the right, you'll see everything that's happened. So step 1 was navigating to the site. Step 2, there was some page interaction. So I clicked, I typed AI, and then I pressed enter. So that's been recorded by the robot. It knows that I have done that. And then I captured a list. You see the list name and all these individual fields here. You can also delete them from here. So after I've saved my list, I could decide, you know what, I don't really care about the industry. So I'll just delete the industry. Yes, delete. And now if I click down here to see the output data preview, you'll see industry is gone. So after you've saved the list, you can also remove some things from the sidebar here. So we've gotten a list from this page. When I mentioned earlier about the asterisk, I can't just get a list. I could do something else. I could do capture text and then just text. Maybe I want to, what might I want from this page? This page isn't as useful because it doesn't like say what the search was, but I might want the page title, startup directory. I might want this text. That could be useful. How many companies there were total. That's probably about everything I would want for text from this page, but you can do it. So if there's something on the page where the list scraping happens that you want to capture, you can certainly do that. So I will confirm up here, and then I do have to name these. When it's just text, and not a list, you do have to come in and name these items. So let's call this page title and how many? Okay, so I'll call it. All right, so we've now got this list and I've refined it to be just the fields I want. I've renamed anything that I want and just these couple of pieces of captured text. So let's save this and finish with this. Actually, let's do one more thing. Let's capture a screenshot. So you can capture a screenshot of a selection of a page. There might be a specific part of a page you know you always want. You could do the entire page or you could do visible part. Let's do a selection. Let's just do this. Why not? And let's call it screenshot. Cool. So now we have a list, we have some static text, and we have a screenshot. You can finish recording by clicking on finish button below, or you can capture more data. So you can keep going if there was more stuff you wanted. Maybe you actually want to get the list of items over here. That could be something you want to know, so you know each option that's available. I won't do that in this example, but just know that you can keep doing more things. It's not just get the list and then you have to be finished, or get your text and you have to be finished. You can keep extracting more stuff. So I will now click finish, and BrowserAI will try to name the robot for you. So in this case, YC companies list. That's a pretty good name. I might just choose to keep that, and then I'll save it. You see how fast this is happening. Simulating user actions, and you can see up here 2 pieces of data and 50 list items. So there's a little preview and the screenshot. So you can see a little preview up here of what it captured, and that's exactly what I asked it to do. So we got the page title, 50 companies. I can click here to see all the 50 companies. Some of them don't have location. That's why that's showing up yellow. They don't provide it. And yep, this looks good. And then the screenshot. So capture screenshot. So already I think you're probably seeing how easy that was and how useful this could be to keep an eye on various websites out there that you might want to get the data and also take a screenshot of. So do the task results above match what you were expecting? I will say yes, looks good. If they didn't, I could click no, they don't. But otherwise, yep, this looks good to me. So that one is done. Now there's a recommendation here to train another robot to extract detailed information. So this is like a little helpful hint. Hey, we found a link that looks like it could be to a detailed item. Did you want to train another robot? And that's exactly, as you can see here, Pepper AI. If I go here to the list and then search AI, that I did in the robot, Pepper AI was the first one. So we just give you the first option to say, hey, we noticed this link. Did you want to train another robot? I will not do that right this second, but that is a handy way to do it right there. So on this run task page, let's look at what's on the page. So history, you can see that the one task that I ran was a minute ago. You can see how many credits it took. And if I click into this, you can see a bit more details of the credits. So 1 credit per task, and that includes 8 list items. And then it's 0.1 credits per additional list item, and the total number of credits. So that's one way to start to budget how many credits it might take. So if you know that you want to do this exact thing daily, that's a pretty good indicator. This many credits times how many days, and then you can get an idea. If you go back to the run task page, from this page, you can run a task now. So if I want to run that exact same thing again, I could do it, or I could change the search term. Let's change it to, what else might there be in here? Take AI off. Let's try automation. So now I can change my search term. So it's important to think before you build something what you might want to do later to make this easier. So rather than have to get the exact URL that includes the search, so if I come here and type in automation, you'll see the URL does now include that. So I could search that, but that's annoying because the person doing this would have to know that every time. Otherwise, you just put it in here. And you can also have this in a CSV that you upload, the search terms. So that's a super fast way to search a lot of different terms with this one field here. So let's just limit it to 50 and let's run that task. So this is running just one task at a time. And even this makes life so much easier. You've already trained the robot, you've told it what to do, you know what you're getting back, and you can do one URL at a time. Still super fast and time saving. In this case, we've got 41 items. So there weren't even as many items for automation. all the same fields were extracted, and then there's a screenshot. That's doing one item at a time from the run task page. What else is on the run task page? You can bulk run tasks. This is one place to do it. You can bulk run tasks from the run task page, download a sample CSV, which will just show you the fields that this robot will need. Will just be the origin URL and then the search term, all the things that are over here, essentially. You need to put each of these into a CSV. So when you come to bulk run tasks, you can download a sample, or I'll show you in a bit how you can kind of get around having to download and fill something out and then upload something from another robot. But I'll get to that in a second. And the last thing on the run task is monitor. If you have monitors set up, it will show them here, and you can set up multiple monitors. So run task is kind of a page to do things on, but also a little brief overview of what's been happening. So the history, any monitors you have, and also recommendations. So in this case, let's go to, let's see, what do we have here? So we only have the list robot. So let's actually click back into this and let's build this one. Let's use this prompt here, train another robot. So I will take the suggestion. So now I'm going into an individual page to get data. And I like Y Combinator's individual pages because they have a good variety of things you might want. So I will click capture text and something you probably, and then not from a list, but just text here. So just text. And I probably want the company name and then description, even though those things are maybe on the other page, the list page. If you get all the same information on your detail page, you can then just look at the data from this robot. So you don't have to go back and forth. Because if I didn't get these things that are on the list page, if I didn't get these pieces of data, I would then have to go back and forth. But if I just re-scrape them, because why not, I only have to look at the output of this second deep scraping robot. So let's also take the batch here. So if you move the mouse around a little bit, I might not want the link here. I might want just the batch. So if you move your mouse just ever so slightly, you'll see that now it's just around the W25. So I'll click on that and then I'll do the status here. I can take the visible text or HTML. You might want the HTML in some cases, but most times you're just going to want the visible text. And then I will do each of these separate, these categories or tags. And then this would be, I'll do location from over here, actually. So let's get the website, visible text, and let's do the year it was founded, team size. And you notice how right now it's around, the box is around status and active. I don't want the word status. I don't need the word status. I just want active. So ever so slight mouse movements gets me active. And I want visible text. I actually also got that over here. So I can press escape, actually. Done. I don't need that. Every time you press escape, it will undo the thing you last selected. So if you realize, oh, I actually don't want or don't need that, you can press escape. And those instructions are over here. Press enter to confirm or escape to go back. So I will get the location from the side here. Let's get the logo. Why not? Image URL. Okay, so that's all I want for static text. So I'll click confirm and I'll name these. Name, description, batch, status. Let's call these like tag 1, tag 2. Oopsies. Tag 2, tag 3. And website, founded, team size, location, and logo. Okay, so I've got all these pieces of data. So I could stop now. I don't have to do anything else. That might be all I want. But do we see anything that might look like a list on this page? Well, these active founders look like these might be list items. So let's check it. Capture text from a list. Look at that. They are list items. So that's pretty handy. I can just get these as list items. You might be tempted to do them as captured text and click, I want this. So this is founder one name, founder one description, founder one, blah, blah, blah. But if it's a list items, it's a lot easier because you're capturing a list and we do it automatically for you like this. And it's much cleaner than doing capture text because there will be different numbers of founders. And if you train it on 2, but there's 5, it won't know because you didn't tell it to get those other ones if you're just doing static text. But with lists, it knows there's going to be any number of list items. So let's do, there probably won't be more than 10 founders. So let's just do a maximum of 10. And this is an example of selecting the pagination. I don't think there's ever going to be pagination to view more. And if there is, I don't really want to do that. I don't want more than 10. So I'll just click no more items to load. So that is now captured text and founders list. Let's just finish. Company details is as good a name as any. Now we're going to spin up a server in the cloud to get those pieces of data that I specified. And again, you can see here the T with 12, so 12 pieces of text and then 2 list items. And there we are. So that's pretty useful already. We've trained 2 pages and we could connect them with a workflow. But before I do workflow, I want to show you a little trick to do a bulk run. So now that I've got a list of items, I now have the link to the detail pages. So if I go back to the robot that has list items and I go to tables, I guess let's talk about tables for a bit here. So tables, any robot that scrapes a list of items will have a main tab like this, and then each list will have its own tab. So I can either click down here and see all of the items that were scraped that were in the list, or from the main tab, I can go on each of these runs here. So automation, that was one task. AI was another task. I can click over here where you see the I. So 41 companies, 50 companies. So let's click into this one, 41 companies. So I'll click on this I, and then it creates a filter here for just that task. So now that I've got this company page link, I've got all these company page links here. I can resize these if I want to. So these are all the URLs I would need to run that second robot. Yes, I could copy each one, go to the Run Task tab and do them one at a time, or I can export this as a CSV. And in a couple seconds here, this will become a download link. So I'll download that CSV, go back to the robot that does the deep scrape, the company details. I could do it from here. I could upload from here, but I do recommend doing it from tables. It's kind of a cleaner and better experience. So let's take a quick look at this before we jump into importing actually. So now we've got the captured text. So we did get a list of founders. That wasn't our main goal. The data you probably want is on this main tab. So now I can see name, description, but all the stuff, all the data that I wanted. So if I hadn't captured name and description, for example, because I thought, oh, it's in my first robot. Well, now I would be confused because what am I looking at? That's in the previous robot. We will soon have the ability to join data tables between robots, which is why I say put everything you want on the second robot that's getting details. Even if it was on the first list page, just put it in here also. Okay, so now let's go to import CSV. So again, I can download the sample CSV, and I guess I'll download it to show you what that would look like. So downloads, so this would be the sample CSV. It really is just origin URL and founders list limit. That's all it needs. But when I click upload here, I can choose the companies that I just exported, and I can open this. Now, you'll see there's a bit of an issue because it's looking for a field called origin URL. And the origin URL from this here, it's all the same because this was the origin URL right here, or I guess, yeah, for the list items. So it thinks, hey, it's all the same one. But we don't want to use the origin URL from the first robot. We want to use the company page link. So we scrape that piece of data specifically to then use it. So the company page link is what we put here, and then you'll see, where did you go? Oh, there you go. It's got to scroll over. Yeah, I don't need this one so big. So now everything's green. So it's going to go to each of these. Otherwise, it just would have gone to the same URL, which, we're recognizing, hey, that's probably not what you want to do. So you could, if you wanted to, download this sample and then copy paste so that's like all proper. But I would rather just export, import, and then fix this little bit to say what is the URL I want to go to. So now I will start extracting data. So we're going to go through here and do 41 of these pages. So we train 2 robots. One gets the list of items, one gets the details. We tell the second robot, hey, could you go to all these URLs that I exported? Sure enough, go to history, you'll see this is a bulk run. So that's specifically identified as you did a lot of URLs at once, and you can see the progress of the entire bulk run here. You can pause it, and you can also check details. So when I check details, it goes in and it will show me each of the separate tasks. So I can see, if I go to the last page, for example, so this one finished successfully. These are all successful already. Go to page 1, and these are running. These tasks are running. So that was pretty fast. In the span of like 30 minutes or so with jabbering and slides, I've built 2 robots. One scrapes the list of companies. One scrapes details about those companies, and I've done a bulk run. And this is all now in tables. So I can come here and see. Let's refresh this. So all these companies are in here. And I can go to the founders list and see all the founders. Oh, and I could, well, let's do this. Let's go to the main tab, and let's say I want the founders for, which company has a lot of founders? 3 seems like the max. I want to see the founders for Copycat. All right. So this would be a way to get like lead gen data if you wanted to maybe contact some of these folks. It's all right here. It's all available to you. And you can export this if you wanted to, and you could bring it to some other app if you wanted. So let's do a workflow. Let's connect these 2 things so that they automatically run, so I don't have to export, import, export, import. So we'll go to workflows right here, and let's add a new workflow. So I like to name it this way, YC lists, and then so I'm clear on like what am I starting with and what am I getting. So I will get the list of companies, and this is the output columns: company name, location, description, all the things you saw me build. And I'll go next step, and then robot B is company details. So it's like a trigger in action. The trigger is companies list. When that thing runs, I want to run the second robot, and the origin URL will be company page link. So you want to, if you're getting multiple URLs, you want to name it appropriately so that you're clear on what you're clicking on here. Because company URL could be the website, which is why I called it company page link, the link specifically to the company page. And founders list I'll leave at 10, and let's go next step. So now you decide, you tell this workflow, when do you want to run robot B? So always, so anytime robot A runs, just run robot B, do it. Only if robot A finds changes. So you may only care about changes, not every time, only changes. Only if robot A finds new items. That could be for maybe products or property listings. You just want new items. Or if robot A finds new or changed. So you've got these options to kind of specify about when you want the workflow to continue to robot B. So I'll click always, and then I'll save and enable workflow. Now you'll see a message at the top here. Do you want to run the task? So run robot A so that the workflow happens, or do you want to create a monitor? As of right now, you've connected these, but nothing is happening, nothing will happen because robot A is not running. Robot A hasn't been told to run or hasn't been scheduled to run. So let's create a monitor for robot A. So I'll create a new monitor, let's say every weekday, just arbitrarily, every weekday at noon. In my time zone, I want to go to this origin URL, and maybe I don't want actually to search anything. I just want to go to that URL. Well, let's show an example actually. It doesn't have to be this URL. It could be anything that has that same structure. So maybe I want to change the monitor. Maybe I want to just monitor B2B, all B2B, not automation. Don't want automation in there. So this would be my URL. So the B2B industry, it looks the same. It's the same formats of webs. The web structure is the same. So I don't have to train a new robot. That's a common misconception is, well, it's a whole new thing. I got to train a new robot. Nope. It's literally the exact same website and everything looks the same. You're just changing what is appearing based on filters or searches. So I can now come here and say, I want to do this. I want to do industry equals B2B. Or I could do a search as well if I wanted to. So B2B, and then let's just do, I don't know, automation. Why not? Limit it to 50, and then I could call this, let's see, weekday B2B automation. If you're going to have multiple monitors, you want to name them something that helps you know what exactly you're doing. And you can be notified by email if there's a percentage change in a captured screenshot. So that can be handy if you just want to see, has a website changed? And you just care about like the structure of it. Has something changed? That's handy. Or if there's a change in captured text. I'm going to check both of these off and let's click save. So now that monitor exists and it will happen on the schedule, which then kicks the workflow into action. So now we've actually done something. We've got a workflow that will make those two robots work together, and we've got a monitor that will schedule the first one to run. I can also go and manually run the first robot if I want. And I'll show you that that will then make the detail robot run. So companies list, let's run it on, why not do the URL I just did? B2B and automation. Let's do 25 instead of 50, and let's run it. So now the workflow will also happen because I told in the workflow, always go to robot B, and robot A is now running. So this one has gotten all these URLs, and if I go to, let's wait till this one actually finishes. This one is done, and my workflow should now make this one run, company details. So if I go to history, there you go, there's my bulk run. If I click in, you can see so total 25. So that's the 25 I just specified in my run task. So my individual task run, this is what is happening. So this would happen with the monitor as well. So whatever monitor schedule you set up, it would then make the second robot run. So that is monitors, and I've shown you tables and a little bit of history. Integrates. I won't get into each of these integrations. That's a whole webinar in itself, but just be aware that we do have Google Sheets and Airtable that you can set up to send your data to. It's pretty straightforward and obvious. You just connect the account that you're logged into as you would usually with Google authorization, and you can choose to only sync changes if you want. Same with Airtable. You just connect the account and then pick whatever base within your account you want. You could choose all of them, or just within specific workspaces in Airtable, or just one base if you wanted. And then you choose how you want to map the data. If you want to put it into an app that is not one of those, you could use Zapier or Pabbly or Make or Integrately. We also have webhooks and API and workflows. I think I won't cover all that stuff in this webinar, but probably we could do a whole webinar on integrations. Let me see if there's any questions while we're doing this. What I could do, actually, let's see. I took note. Thank you to everyone who submitted, what are you unclear about? That was helpful. I had everything was one of them, almost everything. Hopefully I've helped to clear up at least some of that. What exactly is a robot? Can extract data from one website only or from several? Well, I think I've explained that, how one robot can do multiple things as long as the structure is the same. So it could be the same website, but the page has different filters or searches. If it's a totally different website, you'll need a different robot for that. After I create a robot, how to edit it. Okay, let's do that. So I can go to the settings page for this robot, and right at the bottom, retrain robot. So it's not like refined editing where you just change one thing. You do have to, for now at least, retrain the robot. So it's not like, oh, I want an extra piece of data and just specify that, or I no longer want this piece. You do have to retrain it. So it's not as specific as you might want, but you can retrain it if something isn't quite what you want it to be. There's specific questions about particular websites, LinkedIn, Airbnb. It all works kind of similar to this, depending on whether you're trying to get a list of items and then the details. It all kind of works in this same way. And we've got pre-built robots that you can try out. So if you go to browser.ai/pre-built robots, you've got all these websites here. So you could try Airbnb. You could just give this a shot to see how it works and what it gets you. And if these aren't the things you're looking for, you could train your own. Same goes for LinkedIn. What do we have down here? So we've got job postings, job posting details, job listings information, company info. So we do have a lot of pre-built robots that you can choose from. Deep crawling with 2 robots was another question we saw. I think I covered that, at least in theory. The in-client browser displays different results for same page using Chrome. So I think that what that probably means is, oh, we got a question. Hold on. At my monitor, I don't see a search option under. Oh, I kept the music going the whole time. Hopefully it wasn't too loud. I didn't have my earpiece in. 1 second. Vibes. Sorry about that. Boom. All right. When I look at my monitor, I don't see a search option under original URL. What did you? Yeah. So the search was because I trained it to do that. So when you train the robot, you want to do a search on that page. So let's just build another robot again. I'll come to this page here. Just copy this. I'll show you, I guess, what will happen if I don't do that, and what is probably what the person is seeing. So if I use this and I don't type anything into my search and I just scrape right from this page, I won't later have that option. So that's why I was pointing out, if you think you might want to have something to give you some flexibility on what you're searching. So I just clicked into the search like I would if I was just doing this on the website. And then I search for it and I press enter. So the robot now knows I did that. So you can see your page interaction. Click, type, enter. So now it says, oh, hey, I probably need to make an input parameter for that because you did a thing and you typed some words. So I will give you a way to tell me what words you want me to put in when I scrape it next time. So that's why that's happening. I could just I'm just going to bring Mel on. We're both on here. Anything else you see in the questions here?
There's a really specific question from Scott. I'm curious how to create a deep scrape from a website that with multiple categories for their lists. Example, Nantucket Sinks USA has a section for kitchen sinks with a list of products, then a separate section for bathroom sinks. Do I need to create 2 robots for each section and scrape them separately?
Nantucket Sinks USA. All right, so probably kitchen. Oh, I gotta click into another thing. Kitchen, and then let's do farmhouse sinks, for example. Okay, so that's farmhouse sinks. And then bathroom. Nothing happens when I click bathroom. Okay, bathroom. So these pages look slightly different. You could try training on one and then using this different URL, but something tells me if I click into, no, that's just individual. Yeah, so this is where it gets a little tricky. What might look to you with your eyes like, oh, these are different. The underlying code might be such that like, no, that's still the same list, same selectors that we're looking for. So you could try it, but if not, something that looks like this might have different properties than a page like this. But within this, the kitchen sinks, anything under categories is probably going to all have the same structure. No, not even. Should, yeah. Yeah, this is an experiment. This would be an experiment. I'll try one and then change the URL in run task, the other page, and see if it works.
I would.
If not, I would go based on types of page. So this type of page that doesn't have the side filters looks like this type of page. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter that it's bathroom or kitchen or collection versus whatever. These look similar in structure to me. So these might be able to be used with one robot. So cool. A little bit of trial and error.
Hopefully we answered your question, Scott. And it turns out that I totally stepped on. Jeffrey had a question about the client browser, and I totally cut off your answer. And
oh, it's fine.
He's been waiting.
So yeah, I assume that means that what you see in the browser. So if I come here, it looks like this, and then I go into Robot Studio and like it looks different. That can happen. Sometimes it doesn't matter if it looks different as long as you can still specify what to scrape. But there might be cases where it does affect it or impact it. Maybe something is popping up in the Robot Studio because it's not a person visiting the website. I don't know. It can look different depending on maybe where the robot is browsing from, like where in the world might look different. That's when you might want to try the Chrome extension. The Chrome extension might display it in the way you're expecting. And then for that particular robot, you might want to just use the Chrome extension. Otherwise, if neither one is working properly, reach out to support and say, hey, this doesn't look as it does on the website, and I therefore can't train it to do what I want. It's pretty rare, but it can happen.
Yeah, our support team has access to back-end system tips and tricks that on the front end you don't always have access to. So if anyone has any issue, they're fantastic. And they'll be sure to help you. Cool.
Yes, I think I covered a lot of what people were confused about. Let's did you want to go through a couple things?
Pricing. Fun. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about pricing. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to also drop them in the chat. We're going to have open floor for questions after I go through how our plans and pricing works. So there are two different ways that you can become a customer. Actually, the best news I have actually to start with is everyone on this call is likely on a free plan. Free plans are forever free. You have full platform access. We don't gate our features. So you have access to all of the integrations. You have access to all of our workflows. You have access to every single thing that a paid user does. All our plans and paid features have to do with service and usage. So the first way that you can become a paying customer is by choosing one of our self-serve packages, which will depend on how much data you want to extract. So each package comes with a different amount of robots, as well as a different amount of credits, depending on how much data you want to scale. So one credit equals 10 rows of data. So 100 rows of data, sorry. So depending on how much data you want to extract, we can help you figure out which package is best for you. On the flip side, if you're sitting on this call thinking, I have a really complicated use case, I have to extract a lot of data and I don't have time to build 100 robots, we absolutely also offer a premium managed solution for those who need maybe something a little bit more complex or maybe something that's a lot higher scale. And what that looks like is you get a fully customized price and plan depending on your usage, number of users, credits. And we also include different services based on your needs. So for example, sometimes this can only include onboarding and setup. Like maybe you need us to set it up for you and then you can kind of take the keys, run it on your own. And otherwise, some of our customers actually have us run the ongoing management of their data if they need ongoing data transformation, data QA, et cetera, et cetera. So if that package sounds interesting to you, that starts at $500 a month paid annually. And if you just drop me a comment in the chat, I can get someone in touch to learn more about that. But otherwise, I think we're open floor for questions if anyone has any left. Thanks everyone for the chat for all the great questions as we went through.
Okay, that's good. We've done some pretty advanced webinars, but we haven't quite touched on, hey, I don't know anything about anything. I found myself in that position yesterday trying Relevance, the app you signed up for. I got in there and I was like, oh wow, there's so much to look at. And I realized, okay, that's our users. It's like there's so much to look at. I don't know what anything is. What are these things called? And we name things differently. Deep scraping to us could be like clicking through pages to some, like to someone else. So I look forward to doing more of these beginner, start from scratch basics webinars, because I don't want people to be stuck so much that they don't try anything.
Yeah, don't be afraid to try.
Just try it. Train it. Just try it. And
I constantly, since working here, I scrape data for constantly, even to the point where my husband's like, you don't have to scrape for that. I'm like, but I can. So
I started doing things for my wife. She's like, could you? Yes, I probably can. I probably can scrape it. And I got to be honest, and this isn't like a plug for us or to bash anyone, but I've tried to help friends with like other scraping solutions, because I'm like, okay, maybe there's something out there. I get in and I'm like, I want to like this, but it's too complicated or complex, or actually needs coding knowledge, or the pricing is outrageous, or it doesn't integrate. And I'm like, oh, our tool actually is pretty darn easy to use. Like, for everyone who's confused, it's still pretty darn easy once you know how the pieces fit.
Oh, Scott, what happens if we really flub a robot and throw credits down the toilet? Well, two things. One is your credits refresh monthly. So if you horrifically screw up your 50 credits for your free plan, they do refresh. Also, if you're trying to validate a paid use case and you reach out to support, they sometimes will refresh your credits for you, especially if you're validating it for a paid use case. So don't feel like you flub them. They'll come back the next month. But if you're trying to validate something, you can reach out to support and they can help you out.
Probably not monthly, but like I could see it happening. You get too many list items, or you don't realize how many credits it's going to cost, and you're like, oh god, I set up a workflow and now it's just you
can also set your limit lower to begin with. Like only extract a little, exactly, and then see what that looks like. But 50 credits should get you a decent amount of data. We believe. You want
one credit's 10 list.
You won't love it.
On most sites, one credit is 10 list items. That's pretty good to test some stuff out. Any other questions? One question people have: will the recording be sent out? Yes, it will. I don't know if that's been addressed already in your
most
chatting,
popular question.
The recording will be sent out. I hope the music wasn't too loud or distracting. I totally didn't have a thing to hear it, so I didn't even know the music was going.
I liked it.
Okay, cool.
So using the 24,000 credits per year, does that mean 2,000 limit per month? That's a great question, Scott. So depending if you pay monthly or annual, your credits are kind of limited differently. So if you're on a monthly plan, it's month to month. You have a monthly credit unit, a unit amount that you have that resets every single month. If you go for an annual option, which I always do for two reasons: one, it's 20% off, so you'll pay the less per credit, and two, kind of what Scott maybe asked the question about, you get a year's worth of credits up front, and you can use to how you want to. So if, for example, 1 month, you're going to use a little bit more, maybe a little bit of less, you have 12 months to use your full year allotments, and you get all of those credits up front. Whereas if you're on a month-to-month plan, we throttle that usage monthly. So depends if you go annual or monthly, but I always recommend going annual for the reasons that I stated.
That's a great question.
That was a great question. Perfect. Awesome.
Look at that, almost an hour exactly.
I know. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for everyone's great questions and comments and interactions in the chat. And thanks as always to Nick for being so freaking helpful and patient. And I like the music. I like the vibes.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'll have to give some more thoughts of what we're playing. Maybe we'll see you in the next one. We'll have more webinars coming, some more deep dives, maybe some use cases coming this month. Or if you want a second helping of this one and it comes up again, you can join us.
Awesome.
No judgment. All right.
Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
See ya.